Welcome back to the Advanced Wisdom Series. In this series, my goal is to help you live more of a wisdom-inspired life by sharing with you some of the highest wisdom available to humanity today. This wisdom comes from three God-realized, enlightened avatars that I have studied the most: Krishna, Jesus, and Paramahansa Yogananda. Since they are God-realized, enlightened avatars, they know God, so when they speak or write, we are getting the wisdom of God. So let's get into today's episode, which deals with things like divine communion, attachment, and some good habits. So let's get into the first quote. Whatever be one's vocation in life, one needs to feel his connection with God. The cultivation of a spiritual life requires solitary places for divine communion. God will be felt easily in inspiring, scenic surroundings, free from noise. Pretty strong statement, okay? But that's because the wisdom of God emerges in silence. It emerges in the silence of our intuition, which I've talked about in previous episodes. So how do you go about developing some of this divine communion? Well, one of the simplest and obvious, but not so easy, is prayer. Prayer to work with God needs to be fervent, needs to be sincere, needs to be focused, needs to be authentic. Okay? Then God will hear more of what you have to say. Not surprisingly, my second suggestion is meditation, because that's where you settle in silence. And last suggestion I'll make for you is studying sacred texts, like the Bible, like the Bhagavad Gita. There are others. I'm not trying to limit it just to these, for sure. All of these things help you develop a relationship, a communing with God. Okay? Next quote. When all sensory attachments, unwholesome lure of physical beauty, love of flattery, and of words of temptation, bondage of greed, attraction of sex, when they're all dislodged from the matrices of senses, it is then that the senses relinquish their material prejudices, inclinations, instincts, and obsessions. They become ready to be attached only to divine bliss. Now that's a big task. I get that. And don't be overwhelmed by it, because there's a lot to be done here. Sensory attachments are things that limit our ability to know God. Okay? So, a number of things that you can do to start the process of letting go of sensory attachments are developing inner fulfillment. The greater that you feel comfortable in who you are, where you are right now, as opposed to needing things outside of you to help you feel good, okay? Second is reflect on impermanence. All these things that were in this quote, the bondage of greed and material prejudices and all this, all of those are impermanent. Now, that's a hard thing to, in many ways, to grasp, because our whole life is impermanent. We're here on this stage of life, in this lifetime, in this incarnation, for a few decades. And then we leave only to return again as a soul incarnated in the development of another physical body. So all of this stuff is impermanent. So becoming attached to it and clinging onto it prevents us from being able to access the higher levels of wisdom, okay? And the third thing is awareness. Start becoming aware of your sensory attachments. You can't let them go if you're not aware of them, okay? Next quote. Most devotees who sincerely take up the spiritual path do so because they are already imbued with good habits, and so are fully inclined toward good. Okay, so what we have here is the role of good habits plays a very strong role in our ability to walk the spiritual path, to progress along the spiritual path, to expand and grow along the spiritual path. So how do we make those good habits stronger? Well, start by making them a routine. When you do something, you do something that is good, appreciate that you have been good. Okay? Recognize that it's good. Reinforce that it's good. Be thankful. Be grateful that you're doing good. Inevitably, there are setbacks, and you need to learn from them. Slow down. Take a deep breath. Why did that bad habit just kind of jump into my world, apparently, but it's not? And what can I do to weaken its influence and power so it will gradually dissolve and good habits will replace it? Okay. The third suggestion I have for you is visualize success. Visualize the growth and contribution that good habits can make to your life and to your progress along the spiritual path. Well, as always, I deeply appreciate you watching these episodes. I look forward to reconnecting with you soon. Thank you very much.